Okay, fourth grade, today we are going to paint our animals that we painted. Now, of course, I did a dog. You might have done any of the other animals that you could do. So I'm just mainly gonna give you a quick little idea of how to paint with watercolors on these and a couple little tips that you can use. So you can either paint them realistically. So I can either paint this dog brown with like black nose and maybe some black ears or something like that. Or you could go completely unrealistic and make him a purple dog or a blue dog or whatever you're thinking. Okay, I've decided I'm gonna go not realistic. So we're using plain old watercolors to paint these. So what you need to do is do exactly what you're used to. Get them wet, stir them around. But the thing that's different about these clay pieces is the clay soaks up this water and paint so fast. So you have to be really careful that you're putting it exactly where you want it and that you're making a nice even coat. Because if you're making it too thin in one spot and too thick in another spot, meaning your paint's a little more watered down in one spot than another, you will see that a lot with this. So also something you have to remember is your, these are not flat, right? These are three-dimensional. So anywhere you paint, the paint could run down into cracks you don't want it to be. It could go somewhere where you don't want it. So try to keep your control and keep it exactly where you want it. Now, I obviously don't want blue on my eyes, not even on the side of my eyes. So I'm being really careful when I paint that I'm not touching the eyes, but going right around the eyes. Now we're gonna have a lot of different sizes of brushes. So you can see right here, I have the larger brush, then over here's the medium brush, and down here's the smallest brush. So right now that's about as far in to between my eyes as I can get with this brush. So I'm just gonna keep going, and then I'm probably gonna have to go back with a smaller brush to get into that space. So a good trick for this is to make sure you're not keeping it too watery, because if it's too watery, it's gonna run all over your clay and into places you don't want it to be. So you need it to be wet enough to be able to spread it around and get some good color, but not so watery that it's gonna run all over your clay piece. Don't forget to get the edges of your animals. You don't have to do the back because no one's gonna see the back because they lay flat, but people are gonna see these edges, right? I'm gonna get my smaller brush and get into those tiny areas. Now, if you folded your ears up like I did with mine, it's pretty tricky, but you are gonna have to try to paint the underneath side of his ear, because when you pick it up, you can see it. So be really careful that you don't get it on anything else. Okay, so now is when you can kind of go in and add any extra details. So if he needs polka dots or stripes or whatever, I also like to, you can see where I pressed my little whiskers in. They kind of disappear when it's painted. So what I like to do is anywhere where I've like pressed in some cool texture, I like to put a different color in there. So right now it's purple. So I think just to make that texture pop a little bit more, I think I'm just gonna dot some black into those little whisker holes to make them pop a little bit more. And same if you like scratched in some hair or anything else. If you've scratched in any texture or pressed any texture in, it pops a little bit more if you kind of put a different color inside of that texture. And I think I might do the same for the center of his eyes for his pupil. All right, I think my dog is complete. Once you're finished, I will spray them with a like a shiny top coat, which will really make them come to life. They look amazing now, but that top coat just really finishes it off. So remember, you can either go with a more realistic looking animal, or you can try to make it some crazy colors like I did. It's up to you. So let's get started.